That was by far some of the best stuff I've ever seen before. And,
Yeah,
God bless the World Cup. Thank you for that.
yeah, it's fun.
And welcome to the Down in Front Podcast, the official podcast of downandfrontpodcast.com. We are pumped. We are excited. I am on the road. It is me and my best friend Brylan. And tonight, what we'll be doing is we're giving you a full feature review of Ocean's 8, one of the newest films in the Ocean's sort of universe. And so we're pretty excited to talk about this movie. Before we get into anything, what we normally do here at the Down in Front Podcast is that we review movies, TV shows all over a drink and figure out what else we've been watching. So I'm going to toss it over to Brylan, the mouth of the South. How you doing, man? What you been drinking and what you been watching?
I'm doing well on this very warm evening in Boston right now. We got some thunderstorms, and it's 80 degrees outside, so it's kind of like that Southern style mix, which is why I'm drinking Arizona Southern style sweet tea. It's their second best flavor.
What? You shut your mouth.
Not as good as the green tea,
Fair.
but it's not as good as homemade sweet tea. That's for sure. But it gets the job done when you don't have any sweet tea around. So I appreciate it for that. And it's only 99 cents. Prices on the can.
Prices on the can.
Absolutely. Arizona, hit us up. We want that sponsorship. But what I watched like all last week, I've missed so much TV because I was watching coverage of E3 2018, the big conference where all the major video game console makers and developers announce what are the big games coming out for the rest of the year and some things to look forward to next year as well. And I felt that this E3 was interesting because probably wasn't as many games as this year, but there was a lot of good quality games and a lot of games to get you interested in. Definitely, without a doubt, there was definitely a standout, which I can't wait to play this game. I've watched the trailer for it like more times than I watch movie trailers, and that's Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
It looks mind-blowing amazing. This might be the first video game that actually like captures, like, if you ever see like in a movie like a scene of people walking across the street, like normal background scenes in a lively breathing city, that's how it feels when you actually watch the trailers. That it's not just like one or two people walking down the street, it's hundreds of people doing random things and everything. It's mind-blowing how it looks, and I can't wait to play it.
That's awesome. And when is it
Yeah.
released out?
No release date yet. It's still early in development. It's going to be a PC game. It's the only way you can actually push the graphics that they're going for in this game. But they say they're going to release it for PS4 and Xbox One, so they'll probably get decent versions of it as well.
There you go.
But then they also announced some other cool things, like Fallout 76 is a multiplayer Fallout game that's coming out this fall, I think in October. And that seems like it'd be pretty fun. I was really disappointed in Fallout 4, so hopefully they bring a better experience this time.
Really?
I know I'm in the minority when it comes to that.
I was about to say, like, I don't play the game, but I know, the two other podcast members of Bluid and Guillermo, like, are obsessed with that game, so they probably would be screaming right now at how angry they are.
Yeah, and it's a matter of how you tell a story. I felt Fallout 3 was amazing. Fallout 4 just fell on its face when it came to its storytelling. But there's another cool game. What's really cool is, like, not a lot of sequels were, like, speaking to me. It's a lot of original content, too. One of the last games I'll mention is Ghost of Tsushima. And this game looks amazing. This game looks like the old Akira Kurosawa films if you're playing in one. They do things with the camera work in it where it looks like if they're having like two people face each other for a sword fight, kind of like almost like a showdown and a showdown for a gunfight or something that you see in Westworld. They have like that mid shot from behind the back
Hmm.
while you're playing the game, and the sun rises in the back, just slowly moving, and it looks brilliant. I can't wait to play that.
Oof. Man, that's
That's going to be on the PS4.
I'm only addicted to Monster Hunter, so I'm really trying not to. But I may dabble into something else besides Monster Hunter, so that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good. It looked like a lot of fun, and there's a lot. I think there's gonna be a lot of cool things come out soon.
Good to know. Good to know. And then Super Smash Brothers, I heard that was like another thing in Mario
Yeah,
Party.
yeah. Smash Brothers Ultimate. So yeah, you're gonna have every player from every Brothers game in it. They added Ridley from Metroid and the Inklings from Splatoon as well. So have your pick of the litter of whatever characters you want to play. And it's supposed to be faster than Smash Brothers on Wii U. So
Really?
should be good.
Oh, that's gonna be crazy. That's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, I've never played a Mario Party game, but it's actually going to have online play.
Brylan,
So
come
it might be neat to play.
come on, Mario Party is that fire. It's so good. How do you not play that game? Uh,
I guess it just wasn't on my radar.
Fair.
That's all.
That's okay. It is an amazing game. I would forgive that. It is an amazing game. It's very fun. Very easy to lose friends on that game. So that's probably why I
that's
like it.
that's probably why I didn't play it because I heard about so many fights that broke out while people were playing it.
I mean, same thing happened with Super Smash Brothers. Let's be honest here. So
True.
and
Yeah.
Mario Kart, probably more so Mario Kart than Smash Brothers. So there you go.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for hanging out. I'm super pumped. My name is Warren. I will be your host for this evening. I am currently sipping on Apothic Crush. Very good wine blend. I had some pizza yesterday, so I thought it was going to be a great food pairing for that. So hashtag sip to that, and thank you for that. As far as I've been watching, I have been continuing my binge. I have been watching some other movies, but nothing comes close to watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And I just completed season number one, and I think season one is 15 episodes, and the last ones they're talking about are building a opera, and I love the fact that he titled this show like each week he titles the like what he's doing that week, and they're talking about building the opera, but and sometimes it doesn't even talk about that. Like the week before, he was talking about jealousy, and like that really much talked about jealousy and like handwriting and things like that. Where this one was building an opera and people being different, and there was a line in it that said, you know, Daniel the Tiger is talking, and Daniel the Tiger goes, "Yeah, it's funny, how come we all look so different on the outside, but we all feel the same and are look so different, look so the same and so similar on the inside. Why can't we just like all get along?" Sort of thing. And I was like,
Oh, Daniel Tiger.
Daniel Tiger, goddamn it!
He's the best. He's so innocent.
It's such a good show. I
It
have
is.
been like literally falling asleep to it every day. I brought my iPad, and I've been like just awesome. It's such a good
Yeah.
show. I'm excited to binge that show. I think I have about 640 episodes left, but I got time. I got time.
Yeah.
I'm
I
excited.
I haven't seen the documentary yet, but one thing I always thought was impressive when I was watching it as a kid. I mean, the whole land of make believe stuff is amazing. But when Mr. Rogers like brings someone on his show, it was never like a celebrity or something. It's always like he just went outside and said, "Hey, Officer So and So, would you like to come talk about public safety?"
Yeah,
And it's just a random cop,
yeah.
and the person talks like a normal human being. And I think that's just part of the magic of that show,
Because they're all
which was really
neighbors.
cool.
Like you have
Yeah,
Mr. McFeely, like speed delivery. I'm just gonna show you this like video. All right, see you later. Bye. I was like, oh come on, that's so good. It's so natural.
yeah,
It's just so fun. He built that community just from the random characters and his amazing voices. So, audience, be aware. I will be talking about Mr. Rogers for a lot of episodes from now on. So that's the
yeah,
only thing I want to be talking about on this podcast.
yeah.
So
And I
if you're
think
not
it's
watching it,
neat.
check it out.
Yeah, and I think it's neat. My 4-year-old nephew, he's obsessed with the animated Daniel Tiger show they have on Amazon Prime.
Man, I never even heard of this show. until
Yeah.
my roommate and now Derek Song, friend of the podcast, of course, was like, "Oh yeah, Daniel Tiger is like a thing," and I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
Really?" He's like, and they have like songs and it's they have like their own make believe. It's all these things that he does. I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's gonna be so awesome!" So I need to check it out.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get your view on Ocean's 8. So this was one of the movies that I think a lot of people going into it were a bit hesitant and a bit scared to watch it. You know, they definitely felt like it was the Ghostbusters of the 20s, I think 16 Ghostbusters this year. In which Ghostbusters mean they kind of basically did a gender swap of all the characters, and so now Ocean's 8 stars all female and women actresses: Sandra Bullock, Kate Blanch, um, Rihanna. Uh, there's a bunch of people.
Aquafina.
Yeah, that's Aquafina. What?
That's the lady's name.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. So it
Yeah.
stars a lot of actresses. So before we get into the review, we'll keep it to a bit of a like a non-spoilery section here. And Bradley, I would say like, what's some of your thoughts that you had going into this movie, and you know, out of the other three Oceans movies, 10, 11, and 12. How do you feel about those movies, and what were some things that you were excited about going into this one?
When it comes to Ocean series, I mean, I definitely loved them. I love heist films like this. And Ocean's 11 is definitely the standout when it comes to those films. I feel like the others, I mean, this is the hard thing about heist films. It's hard to keep them fresh. So I felt that Ocean's 13 was good, but not as good as the first one. And Ocean's 12 was just, it just tried to do a lot of weird things that I didn't really enjoy. And they put it in Europe and they added so many different characters that it just got a little too ham fisted, I thought. And I feel that this film kind of is on par with Ocean's 13. It's a solid heist film. It's just kind of like a little too convenient when it comes to the building of the heist itself. And I found it always to be a fun, enjoyable series just because you have these characters with different personalities, and it's fun to see them actually interact with one another and going through these planning phases. And they're always shot really well. There's always really good just scenes of like whatever city they're in, or just nice shots of just showing like the colors of a casino, or for the instance, like showing just the glitz and glamour of something like the Met Gala, or for the upper, I think this is the Upper East Side of New York where the Met is and everything,
Mm-hmm.
because they kind of focused on that area of New York. And yeah, showing just like that architecture around there, and just that part of the Central Park, and just the difference of the greenery and everything, I found was actually visually sharp as well. So it definitely had that feel and that vibe of an Ocean's film, which I think it fits really well into the series. I think, yeah, you could watch all those first three movies and go right into this one and not feel like anything's different.
Yeah, I mean, and I misspoke. There's no Ocean's 10. There's a Ocean's 11, 12, and 13. But I'm definitely
Yeah,
going to agree with a lot of your things. I thoroughly enjoy the Ocean's movies a lot, just because of the diversity that they showed and how much fun it felt like those A-list actors you know were having, and even the jokes that they were making. In the second one, talk about Julia Roberts and Matt Damon. You can see him as like an A-list actor, but being like a
yeah,
child, like he had to like earn his keep, sort of thing. So
yeah.
I
Matt
was very
Damon
interested.
playing a criminal playing Matt
Yeah,
Damon.
exactly. It was very fun. I really enjoyed those characters a lot. I mean, I think I go back and watch those movies a good amount. So definitely going into this movie, I definitely had a bit of the like a couple of concerns in the back of my mind of, is it going to be trying to do something different? Is it going to do something the same? Like, how are they going to build these characters? But then I thought about it of, the Ocean's 11 movie. I had no idea who any of these characters were, so it'd be awesome to see like give them all like a platform where they can like launch off their characters, and like neat like small like different like tricks and sort of like personality traits that each one of these characters has. So that's something I was like looking forward to. And of course, I didn't know what I didn't know what it was about, but I do know I was excited to see like there's going to be some sort of twist, right? So that was something that I was kind of interested in. So definitely going to this movie, I was really excited, and I still am excited even after watching it.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to take a quick small break. This is for everybody who haven't seen the movie yet. So if you haven't seen Ocean's 8, it's in theaters right now. Definitely go check it out. Definitely bring um, kids to this movie. We can talk about that a little bit later on, just to see if it's giving you the correct message or not. So we will be back with a full review of Ocean's 8. And we are back, and we are the Down in Front podcast here. My name is Warren. I'm also with Brylan, and what we're going to be doing is giving you a full review of Ocean's 8, directed by Gary Ross. This guy directed and wrote The Hunger Games. He also wrote, and we found out, Big back in 1998, which was pretty cool, in Pleasantville. So he definitely has some things under his belt. It is interesting to think that he actually hasn't had any movies since the Hunger Games, which was like a while ago. So I'm really interested to see how long that he's been working on doing Ocean's 8. So the way that we're going to be talking about it is like we'll talk about a bit of the acting and the characters. Then we're going to go into the plot a little bit and then any other kind of extra tidbits that we want to talk about. So I'll toss it over to Brylan and says, Brylan, talk to me about some of the actors and characters for Ocean's 8.
Alrighty, so we got 8 characters to hit a little bit more to talk about here, but I would say overall feelings on the cast. I thought this was a solid group of actresses to bring together for this type of film. You have a lot of different personalities and a lot of actors that can bring some cleverness to them, and some actors I've never known before that I've never seen act that actually brought a lot of cool things to it. I think when it comes to the main character, Debbie Ocean, Sandra Bullock's character, she has some good character moments. I thought they actually did a really good job showing her cleverness, especially with like the shoplifting scenes, how she does the reverse, like try to return something and doesn't get the money back, and then she's like, "Fine, I'll take them. Can I have a bag, please?" And just she just robs the place just to have things to take a bath and have new clothes and stuff like that. So I was like, that was a neat little trick. And I enjoyed like her like speaking German during the Met Gala, like especially to Heidi Klum. She showed like some smoothness to her character because she's supposed to be Danny Ocean's sister and kind of like a part of that same type of devil may care attitude, but always 10 steps ahead of everybody else. But I felt like when she was saying a joke or interacting with people, it just came off very bland and it was very dry. And so I don't know if that was purposeful or if they wanted to, they were trying to capture some of like that Clooney charm and cleverness. And I just felt like she was trying to force it through too much.
Yeah, I get more of the along the lines of trying to be a Clooney,
Yeah.
and really trying to be not even a Clooney, right? Like, because we see that she was really trying to mimic the, I don't know, like maybe I don't know if like stoic was the word, but it was just something that he was like he would have like this mysteriousness about him that's like interesting, but it's not sinister. It's something like he knows a lot more than he's leading on to. Um, and it felt like she was trying to emulate that so quickly because we just introduced to this character, this brand new character that gets out of jail, and she just
Yeah.
immediately starts too strong on it, and it just
They
felt
have
like
they
sometimes
have
it was
kind
too
of the
much.
same intro too.
Yeah, yeah, and it was like it's kind of a little bit too much. Like I wanted to have like a casual sort of build up or something different, like be super bubbly, but at the same time still not share too much, right? Like I think that would have been kind of interesting to talk to see.
Yeah. But on the flip side of that, I loved Helena Bonham Carter's fashion designer. She is a lovable goofball, and Helena Bonham Carter plays these type of characters really well. I thought it was cool to see how vulnerable she is and how she like kind of grows and gets stronger and stronger throughout the movie, and that she actually starts to like come up with ideas because she's like kind of just like desperate at first, but then she's like, okay, I'm into this, and I want to like kind of help out a bit of the way. Yeah, let's take it to the man where we can.
Yeah.
I also thought, along with her, she interacts with Anne Hathaway a lot, and Anne Hathaway is amazing in like pretty much any role I've seen her. So she's able to play this snobby actress really well, but also when they start to give the big reveal at the end, she has a really nice twist on that too, and that she's able to like just carry this presence about her that's always really good, even when she's throwing up in the bathroom. It's a very like uppity and snobbish way of throwing up too, which I thought was funny. Um, but like Rihanna, I've never seen her act in anything before. I thought she was fantastic in as Nine Ball, like just like this. You know what, y'all are thinking it's a challenge. It's not. It's easy. Watch this, and she does this really cool stuff with hacking
Did you seem like she was acting or just?
or being herself.
Yeah, no. I was like, I don't know what kind of persona. Like, I enjoyed the persona, but I'm like, I don't know if you're acting or just you're in this movie. Or I'm like, well, I know I'm cooler than everybody, so I'm just
Yeah,
gonna act like it.
like the reaction to her having the big blunt is like, I think like Sandra Bullock came out in that scene and she's like, wait a minute, are you smoking now? And so maybe she did surprise him with that. Who knows? But man, I mean, I don't. It's amazing to me that Rihanna, she's in kind of plain clothes pretty much the whole movie, but when they have their walk away from the Met Gala and they all have to dress up and everything to sneak by security, how does Rihanna suddenly is 10 times better looking than anybody that went to that Met Gala? And her dress is supposed to be just like a dress off the rack type of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
something
I guess when you got it, you got it.
I'm interested to kind of talk about that in a little bit because there's a couple of beats in the movie that I thought were fun, and then there's some I'm like, I think I maybe it went a little bit too far, especially what message that they were trying to send. But when I first saw that, I was like, oh, of course, and that's hilarious. You know, I really like that moment of that they have in like the stardom because they're like, when that successful heist works, you just walk away with unscathed. And I think that they did that pretty well. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think Sarah Paulson, I mean, I just, she plays the same character every time and she does it really well, which I'm not mad at her for that. I just, maybe it'd be cool to see her do something different. She's always playing like this very perfect, like suburbanite lady that has like a darker part of herself. And it's funny how she brings like the bubbliness to like even doing the criminal stuff compared to like just doing everyday stuff with her kids and stuff like that. She has the same approach. Um, and then we have Aquafina, who at first kind of like getting on my nerves because she sounded like she smoked 20 packs of cigarettes before she did this movie, but she kind of grew on me at the end. She did have some good character moments. And Mindy Kaling, I felt just needed either a bit more character development. Her character just seemed to be there ready for the most convenient time for the heist. But I think there was a big letdown with Kate Blanchett. If you look back at Ocean's 11, you have that relationship with Danny and Richie has these like mannerisms, and Richie does a lot of different things in the heist, and he's always eating things. He has these weird, quirky things, but he's also still cool as hell. He's the coolest guy in the room. But Kate Blanchett, they try to dress her up like that. She has one good moment, I think, when she's talking about like cutting the vodka so she can serve it to people that are drunk.
Yeah.
As like add to that. I mean, that's a cool part of her character, and then she just becomes just like this stylish sidekick that's hanging around and doesn't really get much to do except like drive the van around, like she's the getaway person. But one of the few men that's actually in this movie, James Corden. As soon as he hits the screen, this movie actually gets a lot better. It becomes very energetic. It becomes lively. It becomes fun, and and he actually creates a character that I'm a lot more interested in. That I want to see like what his character's all about. I want to see like these past like ways he's actually defeated the oceans at their own game. That makes it and so he's not in it for long, but he definitely makes the ending of the movie a lot more enjoyable than the rest of the movie.
I mean, yeah, definitely going to agree with you going back to one of the points you were talking about of, I really wish, I think the one thing that this movie needs a bit more was a little bit time with the characters and a little bit less time talking about Sandra Bullock's character. Because it really kind of, you know, George Clooney in Ocean's movies isn't the main character. It's like the ensemble, it's the cast who's the main character. And I
Yeah,
think it was how it was also designed. We'll talk a little bit about the plot, but I think the one thing that was helpful is, if, Debbie Ocean had a little bit less time talking about how she got here, all that stuff, and each character has a bit more time to do more than one thing. You mentioned Helena Baum Carter, who plays Rose Weil, who's like a fashion designer, right? And we see a clip of her fashion show looks like it's going pretty terrible, and then like we get some more time with her, but Mindy Kaling is only done for one thing. Even Rihanna has a couple sequences that she's done a bit more, and I'm wondering if it's just because it's Rihanna, right?
yeah,
But Sarah Paulson's character only does like one thing, and even looking at Aquafina, realistically doesn't even get any time to shine at all. And sadly, but true, but Kate Blanchett's character, the one time that she gets to shine, they bring in Yen's character from the Ocean's movie to help them out and to actually complete the heist. And it felt a bit. I was kind of frustrated because I thought this was one, and I think even Debbie Ocean says in this movie, "Oh no, we're not going to use men for this. Like women can do it. It's fine." I'm like, "Oh, yes, I like that style. I like what you're necessarily doing," and I think they even put something in this movie of you can have the person who is like super nerdy, right? You can have like the super nerdy person that's really into computers but still look great, and that's like with Rihanna's character. Or you can
yeah,
have like these. You can have these people that you just maybe not you're not entirely sure of, but they can still have all the confidence in the world. Or somebody who you think that she has it all, but she still wants more and more, and that's more Sarah Paulson's character. So I think it was interesting to see that the less men in this movie, I think it was the better. But then the introduction of James Corden, I was like, oh, why is he in this movie? And I just couldn't see him as the adjustment or the insurance guy. I just thought it was kind of, I didn't know he was, I didn't realize he was in this movie. So when he showed up, I was
yeah. Me
like,
neither.
I'm not believing that at all. It just looks like you're another famous face, and we literally just got done seeing a lot of famous faces. The one thing you can do is not have another famous face that we have to then believe has been in, like I felt it a bit distracting, so I was kind of bummed that they introduced him so late in the game, um, and then it felt like the story kind of like it had breath, but then the story also like came back, and I was like, man, this movie's ending. Like, if it would have started at that, if it would have started there, then we would have kind of figured out what happened, and he would have been like narrating this entire time, and maybe his way was like going through and like finding the story out through the entire thing would have been interesting. But I still had fun with it, so I thought it was kind of great to see that. I liked it. I like a lot of the characters in this movie, and I like a lot of the acting in it too, especially from people like Rihanna has been in movies. They've just been terrible. So
Yeah,
this is by far like the best version of a movie that I've seen her in, and she gets like some pretty kind of simple lines, but I thought it was kind of fun. So I thought it was pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. Just mentioning again, like, yeah, I can see how like that's kind of heavy-handed. What your and your point about that. It could have been cool if it's like they went to Yen and maybe he has a cast on his leg. It's like, well, here's my daughter type of thing, and maybe that could have been Aquafina's
Right?
introduction.
Well, I mean,
But one cast member, like original Ocean's cast member, I actually loved their cameo was Ruben.
oh,
I
that was
thought
good.
I mean, I thought it was great to have Ruben. If you're going to pick someone from the original Ocean's cast, he probably makes the most sense because he was kind of like that guy that, yeah, he bankrolled the Ocean's 11 team, but he was never like directly involved in the heist when it happened. He just benefited off of it, and so he kind of was the guy that was there to make sure none of them got busted. Which they were kind of missing that character in this movie too. Is all on Debbie to do everything, and it was all. I mean, it was like Debbie Ocean and then her seven assistants. It wasn't Ocean's Eight. It was, but that Ruben part, it was a good way of connecting this world to the
Hmm.
Ocean's 11 world. I thought that was very fitting.
Yeah, I like that part too because it was kind of unexpected too, and it was
Yeah,
also unexpected to know that, and we learned that Danny's died. So I thought that
yeah,
was interesting to see, and that was just something that just I don't know if they kind of glazed over it, but that was definitely like a oof, like a rude awakening sort of thing. So I thought it was a pretty good way to kind of introduce that reintroduce the character back into this world because one of the last times we see that he was practically on his deathbed, but he comes back
yeah.
and it's nice to see him come back and hopefully from things to come will be pretty cool. So I mean, the only other things that I will be kind of talking about is um, I just wanted better just better cameos. I felt like they had a lot of these actors and actresses that was there, but they just didn't do anything. They were just kind of
Yeah.
they was kind of there, for the Met Gala,
Like
which is a
Katie
big thing.
Holmes was at the table.
Yeah,
I was
just
like, at least they got her seating arrangement right.
yeah. Oh my. Yeah. So I think the one thing I was like, I wanted them just as a whole, just to have more fun with the movie. It definitely felt like they were fighting against themselves a lot, with trying to force different pieces of dialogue, trying to force situations, trying to force different things, which I'm not sure why, and I'm wondering, and I'll be interested to see if there's like recuts and re-edits and things like that. And we even mentioned Yen. I think it would have been pretty cool to see Yen like maybe being Kate Blanchett's teacher because everybody has something, right? And I'm wondering, what was Kate Blanchett's talent? Like we don't quite know what Rusty's talent was, but we know that he's good for he was like flipping homes or something like that at one point. So we know he was good for something. He was very smart, and he definitely got
Yeah.
it. But the one cool thing that I do enjoy, and I think Megan Arnold called this out, was the fact that in the Ocean's movie, the Ocean's 11 through 13, they kept messing up. They kept failing. They kept failing. They always kept messing up. Whereas this was a pretty pristine movie, and women just do
Yeah.
it better. So I'm like, I wonder if that was like less of more the comedic beats that it could have been to see them fail and like work through some things. Or we can start talking about plot for right now of, did it seem like some things were just kind of ended or kind of wrapped up too quickly and a bit too easy? And I'm wondering if that was, without that failure, that's where we're going to get some time to breathe and see more of how these characters could work through some of these things, and um, even the part when they actually give some time for us to see uh, how reverse hacking, they can like look at somebody's Facebook and create a profile and use this camera. You can see how Rihanna's
Yeah.
character at Nine Ball does all this. I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. I like that, but there's no really character moments. It's just a cool way of seeing that this is how somebody probably gets your personal information. But what about the plot? What about some thoughts you have from there?
So yeah, I think you touched on it a bit. But yeah, the heist itself, they go through the planning phase and they go through um, Debbie Ocean's like vision for this, and she has this piece of paper that has like these 10 points that really, if you look at it closely, they really don't like read as like a heist plan. It's more of just like these random code words, I guess she has
Mm-hmm.
that she's, or just feelings she's trying to accomplish. And you're right. I mean, the heist does go off too convenient. There are moments in this film where they have these magic glasses that'll scan like the jewels and then automatically 3D print out cubic zirconia like replicas of them, so you can just automatically just plus all the facets and the and the necklace and the latch and everything on
We
it.
don't
So
have
it's
to
like
talk about that stuff. That's
so it's just like, oh, magically there. How about that? And it's and like yeah, they are definitely not the Ocean's 11 where it's more of like relying on their own like personal skill set. They got a lot of tech in this movie. One thing I thought was really weird was how Mindy Kaling's character, she goes undercover as a chef in the in the kitchen for the Met Gala, and when she has to actually refit all the jewels of this necklace that they're trying to steal, she conveniently has in the medicine cabinet all her jewelry stuff. She just like plops it down and goes to work. And I was like, how did nobody find that out? I'm
no.
sure someone would had to grab a Q-tip or a Band-Aid at one
I
time.
thought
I
I really really enjoyed that part though. Like that's
It's a funny visual.
exactly those are the funny bits that I was like I really wanted to see more. You know, you talked about the Kate Blanchett of her refit, like making sure that they water down the vodka, and we talked about the Sarah Paulson's character of how she has all this stuff in. How do you explain this to your husband? eBay, right? I
Yeah.
like these funny bits. These are things that we're gonna latch onto and like start loving these characters for. And if Mindy Kaling's character is this person that can like just basically do anything with like jewels, right? If that's like her shtick, then she would have literally went there way before. They would have had a blocked off. You know what would have been really cool though? Hold up, I think this would have helped if they would have said like toilets clogged or something like that, and had like a employees only bathroom that nobody can go in, like some sort of sign up front, because then she
Yeah.
goes and like sets it up. That would have made a bit more sense.
Or
But
out of order or
out of
something
order,
like that.
something gross, right? So she would have went in there like, oh, it stinks, and this is like how she had that, so she set it up. But I like the fact that she just had all those tools. I was like, that's, I mean, come on, like they used a baby changing tray to cut these jewels in half and like basically create all this other jewelry for. Like that's pretty awesome, and that's pretty amazing to the fact that not many men use those things. Like I think that's more like a thing of like what women use, and I think that was another really really strong point of them just using that ability. So I thought that was really fun.
Yeah. I mean, there's some other things that um, I thought were like just missed opportunities. Like there's a great moment where Rusty has to make a kebab for a couple because they're in disguise as a food truck and they're using it where Rihanna can hack into things. But like these two people knock on the window, hey, can we got cash? Can you feed us? Like we're closed. It's after hours. Like come on, it's like that New York attitude type of thing. It's like you're there, you can make something for me. Why don't you? And I like that. That was funny. Um, I thought like Rihanna's sister. I mean, that was a weird like beat to wrap up like what could have been like a really cool like hurdle that they could have had in the middle of the heist. Like if they didn't even know about the magnetic lock until they were actually in the Met Gala,
Mm-hmm.
that could have been like a really cool, clever thing of just like, hey, we got to put our brains together right now to figure out how the hell to get this off.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh, Round's sister's going to hop on the train and build the device you need while she's on the train and just hand it to you before you go do your job. That was
Too
just
easy. Yeah, and
way too easy.
I definitely would have agreed. Alluding to the points that I was talking about before. I think you can not have them fail at something, but you can't plan for everything. And we kind of see the fact that they had a plan and didn't work, and it just so happened to notice that when she finally fitting the necklace on, that there's a clasp onto it. But I'm like, I understand they kept saying that this necklace hasn't been out for 150 years or some sort of crazy long time, but
50 years.
oh, okay. But somebody should have done a little bit of homework on this to know that it's not a regular clasp necklace, right?
Yep.
And so, or maybe it's an oversight. Okay, but we need to have a bigger creative way besides just calling somebody and be like, oh, okay, cool, we got it.
Yeah.
So
You filmed it with your iPhone. It's like, here it is.
Yeah.
call someone and fix it.
Yeah, it's kind of yeah, and I mean, I think that's one of the things that this movie like consistently kept doing. It kept showing that there's a problem, but then finding a very, very easy solution pretty quickly. That the resolution just came and went, and then that was it. Um, and I was kind of bummed about that. You know, I think that's those moments that we live with these characters and seeing them because they're very, very smart, right? They're intelligent. We know that they're capable of doing whatever they want. Um, but to the fact that they had to do something like that to bail themselves out, was kind of a bummer.
Yeah, and just another missed opportunity was like when they are like all of them pretty much had to go undercover in a certain role or something. I mean, add to like them trying to learn what those roles are. I thought those would make for funny character moments, like show us more of Sarah Paulson's like interview of getting into Vogue magazine. Like, I mean, who would expect that? Like a couple of weeks before the Met Gala, you're going to put this lady in charge of pretty much the biggest like detail-oriented roster of like the most exclusive dinner you're about to host for the world.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is like more that like easy type of access to things. But if they are going to put in these roles, like let's have Mindy Kaling like do some funny things being a chef, or let's have Rihanna like kind of like serving food from the food truck. Rihanna and Rusty doing their thing. The one thing I thought was really awesome though was like just being able to use like you said, the Facebook page to actually use psychology to think about, okay, what are we going to do to get this guy to be vulnerable on his work computer? And just find out that this dude loves Westies. That he's just obsessed with Westies. And just building a website that's just like the ultimate Westie website to get him to just actually click on it at work, even though he knows like I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to. And he clicks on it and starts playing the music and seeing all the Westies videos and stuff. I thought that was a great, funny bit that they had. There's a big subplot with all this that Debbie Ocean is doing all this not only to get the necklace, not only to get the crown jewels that they were showing which was, I mean, easily a dead giveaway that they were going to rob those too, and they didn't even show that until the 10 seconds of showing again. Take them and work with Rusty to get them. But also to get back
You
at an
said Rusty, you
ex-boyfriend.
mean Lou, right?
Lou, I mean,
You
sorry.
keep saying Rusty. I was like, he's not in this
Oh,
movie.
yeah. Sorry. Lou. But also Debbie, even though she's denying it, getting back at an ex-boyfriend. And I think this is like a big difference between this and like that first Ocean's 11 was Danny Ocean's motivation was to see if he could do it. That's it. And Danny Ocean was very hands off. He's walking through the casinos. He's playing little bit card games. He's putting tokens into the slot machines, but he's not really all dove into it. He's not scout. He's sort of scouting locations, but also he's just giving like the security things to freak out about because he is the most high profile, and he knows that. Which Debbie should have been the most high profile, but nobody knows her until, except for her ex-boyfriend and for James Corden's character. Those are the only two people that know who she is in this movie. And granted, this is not a casino. This is a totally different arena, which I think is really cool to have it in something like the Met Gala. But you would think that someone of her notoriety would have either fans or have people that are like, or at least if you have the best security people on the planet watching after these jewels, would know who she is in a heartbeat because that she has a reputation to build up on.
Not only does she know who she is, but I have a list of all her accomplices.
Yep.
Because that
Absolutely.
also would mean Lou, and Sarah Paulson's character, and I think that's maybe Mindy Kaling's character too. I think that's
Yep.
they've done a job together before, and all the other ones are kind of new. But you have the you like just again we'll I'm talking about the things that we've seen in the other Ocean's movies of immediately when Danny got flagged, everybody else was like on a red flag alert, and so it's a couple of things that you're like, I'm interested to see why they did that, and I like the fact that they wanted to do something different. Do something different, but go all in of something different. Don't do it kind of the same. And doing a movie about a revenge film, even inside the same movie itself, you have one of the main characters say, "Hey, if this is about getting revenge, I'm out," and the other character says, "No, this is not about getting revenge." But it ended up being about getting revenge in the end. It's like, well, it doesn't make it that interesting to watch, and it's kind of a bummer. Like I was hoping to have a different, like we already know, and again, this is another thing that in this movie that says that we are better than men. We don't have to stoop to their level, but that's exactly what you did. Is stoop to this level to get payback from sending
Yeah.
you to jail. It would have been awesome to say that. It would have been an awesome red herring to know that this is. They try to set him up and it never happened and he was scared or whatever, right? But she didn't have to. She didn't have to kind of close that chapter. I wanted them to write something else. But it just felt like a really cliche moment, and especially the fact that you have a woman who's like seducing a guy to get like, it just felt way too convenient of it again, and I was kind of bummed with that.
Yeah. And I mean, like one other difference, like Ocean's 11 does, that I think might have benefited from this movie, or this movie might have benefited from, was in Ocean's 11, like Rusty and Danny, they're talking about like, all right, who are we gonna get to do this job? And they talk about roles. They don't talk about like I need this name, this person, and stuff. It's like we need a wheel guy. We need somebody with chaos. We need a great actor. We need an acrobat. They're not talking about like get Mindy Kaling's character or get Paulson's character because we know what they're capable of doing.
Well, Sarah
So
Paulson's
I think
character was like I think she had mentioned that I need a
she's the
fence.
fence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I don't know
And I
about
think
Mindy though.
they really didn't mention, but you learn who they are without them going through that um, that roll call type of
Hmm.
thing that they do. But that's one thing I always appreciated. Like you get to hear like kind of that lingo of like this these characters and like kind of the world they live in. It builds like this underworld that they're a part of that's fun and quirky, but also kind of dangerous at the same time. But you also needed moments um, like the old gentleman like practicing his accent in front of the mirror before he goes and be that person at the poker table, or having the brothers of Scott Eastwood and Casey Affleck just start random ass fights with one another and stuff, and just causing all sorts of havoc on the casino floor. You needed more moments like that that you think of like, oh, what the hell's going on here, and then all of a sudden you realize you were actually someone that was distracted while they did the other thing to actually pull the heist off.
Yeah, I think it's gonna take some more time. I think when it talks about the plot, is just a sense of taking more time with the character development and those beats, less time on one character and payback story, and more time on a bit of failure, but finding ways that women do things better or differently than men can do. So show me that, like show me that way of how they think differently entirely. And that was something going into this movie that I was I was excited to see, and I think they kind of sort of went there because they even talked about it, like they mentioned it of I don't think any of these guys is going to do anything about fashion, right? So cool, but that's also a bit of a cliche. So I was kind of like, I'm with you there, but I'm also looking at it. It's a bit of a cliche when, and I think we mentioned this before, or I was alluding to it. Of the director of this film was a man, and so now I'm like, of course, a group of women is going to steal jewelry. I don't really like it's I have a bit of an issue with that. I understand why, and I think that's a big deal of it, but I would have liked to seen something a little bit different, more intricate. That's not as sort of cliche of you have a princess, you have stealing jewelries, you have a revenge boyfriend sort of story,
Yeah.
and then you have the moment of they walk out and they're gonna have like all their glamour moments, but realistically, the only person that had a glamour moment was Rihanna because she was in a dress and she looked great in that dress. But I'm a
Yeah.
guy that says that she looks great in that dress. Now, mind you, women could also say the same thing, but I'm like, yeah, but that's my is that just like kind of like more eye candy, or should there be other things that we need to kind of focus on there? So I
Yeah.
definitely kind of felt it and it's kind of bummed, but so
Yeah. And I thought. I mean, they kind of did that just because it was the environment of where they were stealing from. The Met Gala is all about fashion and showing off, and it is about that visual look to a point. But it's definitely something that could have been better balanced out. So I feel like this is definitely not as heavy-handed as what they tried to do with Ghostbusters.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
this
Yeah.
definitely does it a lot better. But yeah, you definitely bring up a good point that there should have been some more care to think about. Like, okay, um, if women were gonna plan it, what are those female skills that they're gonna use to actually bring this in? And what those are, I don't know. I'm not the I'm not the right person to make this movie either. So
I don't think either one of us are. We'll ask. We'll get some people on there, but
we'll get
what?
Megan on here to tell us
Exactly.
what the movie should have been.
Well, it's funny. I'm excited. I talked to her about this movie. She really loved this movie a lot. She had a lot of fun with it, and she really wanted to see more movies like this. I was like, me too. I just want to see them be better. But I'm glad that we have this movie, right? I'm glad that they made this. I may be talking negatively about this movie, but I just kind of wanted a bit more. I wanted a female director directing this movie, and I would have been interested to see what the big heist will be from there, if it's going to be a heist at all, of how intricate or how different that it's going to be, because this seems like a man kind of planned this out, whereas we've already seen that 3 times, give or take. But now it's going to be a way to write a new story, But what other things that you want to? What else we have? Our anything else sort of section. I'm interested. I do have a question I want to pose to you, but what other things that you want to talk about?
I would say like I mean this movie is definitely beautifully shot. Like the inside of the Met looked amazing. I definitely want to visit there now. The Met Gala itself looked awesome. Um, and New York in this area, like the shots they got, I thought these were some definitely better shots. I'm glad they didn't use like stock footage. They actually took the time to just shoot New York in a newer way, in a fresher way, which I felt was really nice. I feel like I might understand fashion a little bit more because after this, there's some actually really cool lines and moments um, that Rose Weil and Anne Hathaway's character have that I think kind of speak to fashion and what its importance and what its role is. That it's not always about like super rich and dressing up in the finest clothes, but like, why do they take so much care and work into like designing for this one person? Is that it's all about inspiration. It's artwork. It's a form. It's thinking about like how can you accentuate the human body in a certain way, whether it's color or texture and shape. And so they don't go super deep in it, but there are a couple moments in this film that I'm like, okay, I can get down with that. That's pretty cool. I think that's neat. I think the Downfront podcast should be invited to next Met Gala.
Heyo, let's make it happen. I don't
We'll
mind,
we'll
sir.
dress sharp.
I
We'll
don't
find
mind.
some
I don't
good,
mind serving food. I'll help out as long as I'm there. I don't care.
yeah, serving food.
Black tie. I think
I
it
want
like.
a table seat.
I think you had a good point. Like I was just thinking of if they would have had a bit more technicality, and like really went into like if you're gonna do fashion, like let's take fashion up to 100, right? Like talk about the technicalities. Let's do a montage about building dresses. Like let's do some stuff of if you're gonna go part, you might as well kind of go full. So
Yeah.
I thought that would have been kind of pretty cool. And I just remembered that another thing I thought was kind of strange. It felt like people were just kind of popping up out of nowhere for a couple times. And in order to them to lure Anne Hathaway's character to have them pick a designer, they got another young actress that we had no idea who it was. And it wasn't
Yeah.
until after we see her billboard on the taxi of, oh, she's famous. And then the next
Yeah.
scene, oh, Anne Hathaway chooses her. I was like, what? Like, what is happening here? Like,
I mean,
we need something in between there.
it might have been a bit more fun if they used their real names. That it was Anne Hathaway playing just the exaggerated version of Anne Hathaway, and then you have Dakota Fanning,
Oh
and just
man,
go by that.
was that Dakota Fanning?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what she looks like anymore.
Well,
I think it would have been fun. I think it would have been pretty interesting to see like if they like would like personalize like what Hollywood or what people think of them and just done that. That would have been pretty funny too.
yeah. And I would say like the other thing, like I find myself comparing this to another recent heist film, which is Logan Lucky, which I think just does it much better when it comes to the heist film. And Logan Lucky's done by Steven Soderbergh, so he's kind of a master of the craft. And one of the hardest things you can do with a heist film is just make it fresh. And he finds a way of making it fresh. Like Logan Lucky has some really good things. It has those moments where things go wrong, where Adam Driver's arm gets sucked into the money the money pit and stuff,
Such a
and
good bit.
just figuring out that like you know what, like we stole all this money, but let's leave some behind so they don't really catch on to our tracks, but you even still have the undercover cop at the end that's just chilling in the bar, and it's like, all right, something bad might happen because truly the Logans are not that lucky.
I like that movie. That movie was fun. I mean, if people haven't
Yeah.
seen that movie, definitely go check that movie out just for the sake of um, Daniel Craig's character giving you science lessons.
Yeah.
It's so good, so good. The last other thing I want to talk about on our anything else section is: do you think Danny Ocean's dead?
Hmm. I think they like the ending scene just kind of confirms it, and it is like it is kind of a touching moment where like if you did love the Ocean's films up to this point, um, her saying like her kind of I think the last scene is her kind of like just saying, all right, you haven't shown up yet, I guess you are dead. And it is a definitely like a kind of a touching abrupt moment that they end on that is like confirming like, well, I did this, I hope you're proud of me, and then that's it.
I'm getting a sense more of like a Westworld. Maybe I'm watching too much Westworld and Game of Thrones, but I need to see their body. I need to see the corpse to confirm that they're dead.
Yeah.
But I just thought that it was they're slowly introducing bits and pieces of the story that was like almost hinting at that he may not be dead. And they're not saying he's not dead, but it was like you're just like Danny, just like Danny. If Danny would have seen me now, like sort of lines there, and
Yeah.
like introduction to Ruben, and now that we have Yen popping up in the end, and how, I guess to me that it was like she was sitting there like having she pulls out her little cocktail and sips there and like looks at it and like drinking the actual drink, and I'm like I think I'm wondering if she's like making this as a play if somebody's like watching her or that's something that she has to do, but I wasn't buying it. I don't believe that he's dead. Um, I don't believe it. And if it's so, and if that means that they're only gonna want to make one movie of this, that'll be their loss. I think there needs to be probably a couple more, or at least one or two more. But um, I think it'd be cool to not have him die. Now, do they have to meet? No, but I think at some point, if you already introduce these characters, they have to kind of meet their counterparts. And I
Yeah.
think that's what's going to be fun about it, to not only meet their counterparts, but then show that the Ocean's 8, or yeah, the Ocean's 8 are much better at it. And that's when it's going to be awesome, because once you put both of them on stage, and then you see that the guys, Oceans, are going to be like, we should probably let them do the planning, or we should probably have them do that, and we'll just be the grunts or whatever. Like giving way to saying, or either some sort of collaboration, but mainly like they are better at planning, I think that could be the end game, which would be pretty cool to see.
I would disagree with that. I mean, I wouldn't want to see them come in a sequel. It seems like the logical thing to do is like do the big team up or have them try to rob the same place
Mm.
and they end up like robbing each other type of thing and be like, oh, wait a minute, who else was here? And they just realize, oh, it's you type of thing, which, I mean, that would be funny and stuff, but like, I don't think it'd make for a good movie. I think we need to if this movie does well, let's think about like how can you build more on these characters and how these characters shine on their own
Yeah.
and have them make their own like team and make that team stronger.
I mean, it'll be cool if they go back and rob, Al Pacino's character again or Andy Garcia's character. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
To just go
I'd be like,
do
not
that
again.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be cool. Yeah, the last thing I want to talk about before our lasting thoughts is, Megan in the she saw this movie, she really enjoyed it, and so she goes after she was like walking out of the theater. She says, "As I'm walking out, a little girl goes, 'Mommy, are the other movies like Ocean's 11 are all boys, huh?' And her mom says, 'Yes.' And the little girl says, 'Well, I like this one better because it's all girls.'" And Megan started crying. She's like, "I really like that,"
Oh,
and I did too. I think that's pretty cool, and I think this movie gives way. It gives a lot of, you know, I think it gives a lot of confidence, right? And it definitely kind of breathes. And I want to make sure that this is like an inspirational movie, not to rob people, but I want to make sure this is at least an inspirational movie that you don't need like men, right? You don't need to worry about this. All you need to do is like have like your own sort of like group and your own confidence to know that you can do this, and more along the lines of going off of the line that Sandra Bullock's character Debbie Ocean says in the movie. So I thought it'd be pretty cool.
but I'd have a question for that little girl. It's like, how do you know this one's better if you haven't seen the others?
No, she says I like this one better because it's all girls. Doesn't
I
mean
know,
that.
but you said she asked her mom, "Are the other ones like this?" So that to me says she hasn't seen the other Ocean's films.
You never know. You shut up. You shut up. How about that? So going into our lasting thoughts and conclusions, would you have people go watch this movie, and what's some lasting thoughts you have on Ocean's 8?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely like a nice matinee film to go see. It's fun, it's smooth, it moves really fast. Don't expect for it to rewrite what heist films are all about. It is definitely way too convenient when it comes to its heist, but there's some there's some really fun moments in this movie, and if you're also like the Met Gala and want to like kind of see a little bit of different environment instead of a casino for a heist film, it's really good for that. But if you are looking for something that's going to be a better heist film or a different heist film, Logan Lucky would be a better choice for that.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I would say definitely go watch this movie. I enjoyed this movie, more along the lines of a popcorn flick, but I think you get a little bit more message in like the script in this movie also. Like none of the like I feel like some of the dialogue sometimes even in the Ocean's 11 and 12 and 13 was a little cheesy. Um, but this movie kind of did a lot with not many other actresses. We got Sandra Bullock, we got Kate Blanchett and Anne Hathaway. But other than that, it's like Sarah Paulson, kind of, sort of. But there's a lot of people who didn't really have step into the limelight. So I like the ability for them to kind of create something, and I like the ability for them to say that we can go and make this movie. And although people are going to compare it to, another movie that has nothing to do with it, like I don't give a shit. I'm going to make this movie anyway. So good on you.
Yeah, and what is it the young kids say? Keep on slaying Rihanna. Is that what it is?
I guess so. I guess I'm a young kid. If I'm a young girl, sure. She says that. Yeah, she says that.
All right.
And with that, we are the Down and Front Podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for our review of Ocean's 8. Brylan, where can we find more of your work?
You can find me wearing my finest on Twitter at Bryland, Brilund. You can also find me posting many movie reviews on Instagram at I am Bryland. And I am the host of the Gamescast. That's twitch.tv/Down and Front Podcast. We're going to start back up very soon. Just got to find the time to do it.
I mean, that's always exciting. I'm pretty pumped to kind of check in and watch that. I would say those times are very, very soothing to watch you guys play video games. It's pretty cool for me. Definitely check out more of our work. We are the Down in Front Podcast. Rate us on iTunes on Down in Front Podcast. Check out our website, downinfrontpodcast.com, where we have our video teasers along with our music and all of our links for all of our other works. And you have the Gamecast information on there. We have the Friends with Blends hashtag sip to that. So we talk about some stuff on there. So definitely go check out our work there. Find us on Twitter at _DIFP. That's _DIFP, as well as Facebook.com/Down-in-Front-Podcast. And for the low price of the price is on the can. I mean, Brylan, the price is on the can, right?
It is. I mean, I can even show you right there.
Boom. It's just 99 cents. 99 cents. Definitely become a patron. That's going to be helping us out for, diverting any sort of costs and fees and anything else that we have like that. That's always super, super helpful. Patreon.com/Down-in-Front-Podcast is going to be helpful. And thank you so much for listening and tuning in. Definitely stay tuned. We're going to be looking to review, I think, The Incredibles next. I'm super excited to talk about that and disagree with Brylan on a lot of things. So I'm always pumped to hang out with you. And so we will say so long, farewell, go rob the Met Gala. I guess we can rob the Met Gala.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Avita saying goodbye.
Avita saying and go rob the Met Gala. That's what it means. And goodbye.
Avita saying get drunk.
Avita say get drunk.